fix this. I'm gonna have to get a different mount because I seem to be going live a lot when I'm driving to work. So, and the mount that I have to put on to sit my phone on isn't really the best, but it's doing the job until I find a replacement for it, right? So, hello everybody. Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I hope you guys having an amazing day so far. Um, Thank you guys so much for tuning in again, and I really appreciate you all for coming back to watch my video again and hear what I have to say, because we're living in a time when it's very important to speak our minds about things that we understand that may help some other people out there, okay? Because the world is crazy now. It's a lot crazier than he has ever been. So being a part of this world, it makes us liable and accountable of a lot of things that's happening, okay? So you will have to answer some of the questions. So, okay, you lived in this world. What contribution did you bring to make it better? You understand what I'm saying? But in this video though, in this live stream, I am going to bring up 5 reasons that I personally, this is my personal opinion, right? So you feel free to let me know in the comment section what you think. If you agree with me or not, feel free, but let's keep it professional, all right? And respectful in the comment section. If you don't agree with something that I have to say, that's okay. That's why we're learning from one another. But just feel free to let me know in the comment section down below and give me your opinion. Maybe it will change my mind, right? So without further ado, let's talk about 5 things I personally believe that African Americans and some Europeans are moving to overseas, to other places, whether it is in Africa, Asia, and other parts of the world, right? And these 5 reasons is my own personal opinion that I came up with, and feel free to let me know if you have a different opinion. So without further ado, let's jump to reason number 1. Reason number 1, I believe it's safety. Guys, as crazy as this may sound, trust me, safety is one of the reasons that most African Americans and Europeans are moving from the West to go settle elsewhere, whether it is in, South Asia or in Africa or wherever, okay? That's away from the West. I can speak on behalf of the United States of America because this is where I live, right? And I feel like the things that I know so far about living in America puts me in a position to share this with you so you guys know where I'm coming from, okay? Guys, a lot of parents in America, when they send their children in private school, whether it is in private school or public schools, they sweating bullets and they nervous as hell. Why? Because they don't know whether somebody is going to walk in with an assault rifle and shoot up schools, right? Me being a police officer, you know how many calls I responded to of students threatening to shoot up the school? I remember this when I worked from my very first police departments. We responded to a call where a kid had posted online on his Instagram page holding a rifle, right? And basically, well, he didn't mean to do it, but he was making a joke. He thought it was funny. And then one of his friends in the comment section, he commented saying that, oh, you will have to take one for the team, something along those lines. So we showed up there, we detained the kid. It was like a 14-year-old kid or something like that, maybe 15, I don't remember. So we got our detectives involved. One of our youth and family detectives showed up. So he interviewed the kid in school. So we ended up going to the kid's house and spoke with his parents. The kid actually was expelled from the school for doing that, including the friend that had instigated his post, right? So it was him and the other 2 friends that endorsed his behavior. Both, all three of them were expelled from school. But while they were still working on the decisions how they were going to handle it, so me and my training officer at the time, we had to go to their parents' house, which was probably like a good 30 minutes drive from where it originally occurred. I did the school that it goes to. So we get there, we look for every firearms in the house. Those that were unsecured, we secure them. We suggested that the parents get safe boxes for them. We searched the kids' room. We got anything. Well, we're talking about including toys, like firearms that are toys and things like that. So we took everything away from him that would give him this, ideas of saying the things that he has said. And mental health also contributed a lot to these things, people that are shooting up schools and things like that. This is the scariest things that most parents have to worry about. You understand what I'm saying? And it's happening at a larger scale. It's not only happening in one spot, it's not only happening in one city, it's happening nationwide. So I myself have a 5-year-old. When he started pre-kindergarten, I received an email from school saying that there was a threat to, I don't know, bomb the school, or like to explode the school. It was something, either to shoot up the school or something like that. I was so paranoid. I drove to the school, to the K school that my son started attending, and all I saw, it was 4 police cars. Keep in mind, when this happened, I was still a deputy sheriff, right? And I saw cops all over. I'm like, all right, now I feel better. The police officers are here, holding this down. Guys, that's just one of them. I cannot even tell you how many times, depending on what part of the US you're from, people in major cities can relate to this more. I can only speak on behalf of Philadelphia or even Allentown, because I worked in Allentown as a cop before I started working in Philadelphia area, right? Philadelphia is crazy. Trust me, it is crazy. Depending on what part of the city you're from, people walk around always watching their shoulders, because you never know what area you're in. If you're not from the city, you better watch your back, because you don't know what area you're in. You may be in a project, you may be near the hood, you may get caught up in shooting, or someone running away from the police, in a high speed and getting hit by a car. Like, safety doesn't always have to be like you getting shot, right? It could be multiple things. So because the things that are happening in cities, in metropolitans here in America, is making people paranoid. You know what I'm saying? Understand what I'm saying? And when you live in a place where you constantly have to watch your back, I mean, how significant your life is at this point? Because I personally do not want to live my life like that, where I always have to watch over my shoulder all the freaking time. And that's really not how that should work, okay? And that's also one of them. And let me tell you this again, all right? So this has happened to me twice now that I think about it. If you're driving, right? Well, I live in the suburbs, so if like near the suburbs, if like when you're driving behind somebody for like a couple of miles, they see you behind them for a long time, guess what they do? They pull to the side, let you pass, thinking maybe you following them to their house so you can rob the place or do something crazy. They'll pull to the side, and as soon as you pass them, and they come right behind you, so they're driving behind you now. I started laughing. This actually happened yesterday. I'm driving home from work, right? And I get like 2 blocks away from my house, dude. And there was this it was this Volkswagen. I don't even know how to pronounce the damn word. Anyways, I'm behind it. The car is driving mad slow. I'm maintaining steady speed to keep up with it. All of a sudden, this dude pulls to the side. I'm like, that's weird. And then I drove through past him, and he got right behind me. I'm like, oh, I know what it is. And this had happened, a couple of weeks ago too, where somebody had to literally pull to the side so I can pass them, and then they're right behind me. I'm like, oh my God, the level of paranoia. So they know what is going on out here. So a lot of people thinking and seeing those things taking place and happening, not everybody can sit there and take it. That's why a lot of people are moving away from here, whether it is in Europe or wherever it is. So they go to a place where they can have a peace of mind. They don't have to worry about their safety or anything like that. All right, guys, I know I kept repeating myself when I was on a lot of these issues, but this is very important because our safety should be the number one priority. That's why it was the first thing on my list, okay? So now this is gonna lead me to number 2. Number 2 is socialization. Guys, in case you didn't know, people really don't socialize here in the West. They really don't. Like, the type of socialization that I'm talking about is not the one that me being from Africa, trust me, we socialize over there. I know probably more than half of people that live on the same streets I grew up in back in Congo. I may not know every single person's name, but I can tell you at least 1 or 2 names out of every single household within that same street. And again, if you were going away somewhere and you didn't have nobody to help you out with something, your neighbor can step in and help you out. All right, your neighbor can watch your kids. They'll give you, like, you may be cooking, right? And then you run out of salt. You're like, oh damn, I don't want to, go to the supermarket to just buy salt. You walk over your neighbor, they let you use their salt, because you know what? Next time, if they want something, they want to use something that they don't have and you do, they'll come right at you. It's called the barter system. That's what they call it here in the U.S., right? Try that here in America. Try knocking on your neighbor's door and asking them, can I borrow your salt? They will look at you. Are you crazy? You got a job, you make money. So everything here in America, it's all about the money. They're looking at you like, okay, you got a job, so I'm 100% certain that you can afford to get one, so I don't need to let you use mine. That's their mindset. You understand what I'm saying? Versus in Africa, or in Congo specifically where I'm from, people don't see it that way. They know you have the money to buy salt, to cook or do something, right? But they understand maybe you forgot that you have run out of salt, and come the moment that you're cooking and you don't feel like going back to the supermarket or going back to the grocery store to buy whatever it is that you needed. You can just walk across the street or next door, borrow something from your neighbor. You can't try none of that stuff here in America. That's just one of them. Speaking of neighbor, how many of your neighbors that you know, those of you that are watching, how many of your neighbors you know their names? And when was the last time you literally sit together and spend time together and stuff like that? Probably none. Do you know why? Socialization is very difficult here in America, especially in adulthood. Kids probably socialize a lot more here in America than adults, because they go to school together, they spend time at school or whatever, but then when they come home, and that's the end of it, right? But let me tell you also something, that's also an issue, because America being as diverse as it is, me being from Africa, if I have like my child, I would not let them socialize with a bunch of other kids that I don't know what their parents are teaching them at home, and I don't want him bringing the same behavior in my household. You understand what I'm saying? And I will get to that point later on in the video. You just stick around, you understand what I'm saying. I just don't want to, spoil it while I'm talking about the socialization part, right? So it's a major issue because everybody has a job. Everybody is working long hours. Everybody is tired. The moment somebody clocks out at the end of the shift, they're not thinking about anything else by going home and going to sleep, because this country functions 24/7. Factories, most businesses, except for like, corporate buildings or whatever, but like a bunch of industries that, hire an enormous number of Americans, right? Or Europeans in general. They have different shifts. So if you're on 12-hour shift, whatever it is that you work, right? You're so beat up and so tired, and you barely have enough vacation time to actually recuperate. You go home, first thing on your mind, I go home, I get home, I take a shower, I eat, and I go straight to bed. And you will spend days, even weeks, without even getting to see your neighbor or even say hello to them. I personally can relate to this because this happened to me, which is crazy. Let me tell you this. When I first came to the United States, right, I was staying at my cousin. One of my other cousins, right, she went to school. She was a college student and she had a job. So my shift and hers, with her schooling and everything, never matched. We will spend a whole entire week without seeing each other. Why? When I got home, she's already either at school or at work. When she came home from school or work, I'm already sleeping because I have an early shift the next day. When I'm getting up, she's asleep, right? It was like that for a long time. So even people in your household, it's damn near impossible to socialize with them because of work-related reasons. You have to work, you gotta make money, because everything in the West, it's all about the money. Guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, and please let me know where you are tuning in from, and I will really appreciate it. It's all about the money. So what kind of socialization is there? But one advantage we have in Africa, even people that have jobs, you work normal hours, you actually come home, you have a lot more to do, you still socialize with your family and friends, and thus, strengthening your social skills, and you're still around people. In case there's a problem, people can easily step in and help you. Why? Because they know who you are. I can't focus on this point enough where not too long ago, one of my friends, I know him, right? But he doesn't really come around like that as often as he should, because his job, he just worked so many damn hours, right? When his father passed away back home, I passed on the message to everybody. Guess what people's reaction were? And I'm talking about Africans that live, or even Congolese in my community, in the neighborhood where I live at. Or who is he again? Because they don't know who he is. But I'm sure if you grew up in Africa, you grew up in Congo, you know a neighbor, that neighbor knows that neighbor. We all know each other. And most African countries are humongous. People may say, they may make up a claim saying that, some of these countries are small anyway, that's why people know each other. No, that's not the case. Congo is like the second largest country in Africa and the 11th in the world. So it's huge, okay? But people still know each other because socialization is very important to us in Africa. In this country, none. So you're living alongside neighbors, you don't even know their names. You don't even know what school they went to. You don't even know anything about them. Your neighbors will call the cops on you here in America. Your neighbors would make a complaint through management office for playing loud music, let's say. For if you have children, if your kids are making a noise, they will file a complaint against you. What kind of socialization is that? As neighbors, you could be like, you don't even have to knock on my door if you don't feel comfortable, because some people are deranged here. You knock on their door, they're opening a door with a gun or a rifle, whatever it is, right? That's how paranoid people are here in the West. So socialization is a major issue, and a lot of people whether it is African Americans or Europeans move to Africa, they see how welcoming Africans are, how welcoming the society is to foreigners. It blow their minds. They can't believe their eyes. It's like, oh my God, like, is this how people treat each other here? Because it's more family-based sort of society. People look out for each other. Whereas here in the West, it's more about themselves. Me, me, me. They don't care about others. As long as you get yours, others don't even matter anymore. And that actually starts from the top. That's exactly what the government's pretty much do in this country, right? The government would make claims like the people, the people, the people, right? They come around during electoral campaigns, they make false promises that they don't realize. Only when they become in a position of power, they better themselves and their family, they start taking all of the donation from their campaign, right, to get reelected. Guess what? They say, F you, we don't owe you nothing, but you give them the vote. So you see what I'm coming from with this? All right, guys, so enough of it. I don't want to repeat myself any more than I've already done. This is going to bring us to number 3. I had to, to take notes here because it's really difficult to remember everything. Again, working too damn much here in America, right? How can a 32-year-old remember everything now? Pathetic. All right, so number 3 is political party ideologies. Guys, this is probably one of the most important ones that I am going to emphasize on. In America, we have 2 major parties, the Republican parties and the Democrat Party. The Republican Party and the Democrat Party, right? The Democratic Party, they pushing for LGBTQ and things like that. Republicans oppose all of that, okay? Now, some parents, depending on how they grew up, and I feel comfortable to say the majority of the world is conservatives. The majority of the world at least share this ideology with Republicans here in America, right? Where they don't support same-sex marriage, right? Where they only know that there are 2 genders. Guys, growing up, I know there are only 2 genders, masculine and feminine. Now, I can't even keep track anymore. I don't even know how many genders exist out there nowadays. Because they telling us, and they even trying to, in some school, they're probably already teaching it. They trying to incorporate these programs into schools, teaching children that there are more than 2 genders, and they opening doors to convince children they can be born a man but still choose to be a woman. They can be born a girl and choose to be a man, and they think they're okay with it. This is creating more problems for Christian families when they see how destructive this country is becoming progressively, and they're like, I don't want my children being raised in a society that believe that a man should marry a man and they should have children, they should have parents 1 and parents 2, because they don't subscribe to that, they don't agree with these sort of ideologies. Guess what? They will take their family to a society that's more conservative, that don't believe in these things, and it makes them feel much better because they're doing all of this. It's all about the money, right? You're sacrificing a lot of things by moving to the West. These are the things that you're coming to. And those that grew up here, that have seen this country crumble, they know that this country is headed to a wrong direction, and they don't want their kids or the next generation being exposed to these satanic nonsense that are happening nowadays. You even have the United States government under Joe Biden regime trying to sanction other African countries, namely Ghana and what other country? I don't know if it was Nigeria or Uganda, for not passing laws in their Senate, making homosexual marriage a law. They protest against it. They threaten them with sanctions. But I am very, very excited that these nations, they stood up for themselves and they said, no, 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 you can take your money elsewhere. We don't need your billions of dollars if it means to give up our values. You understand what I'm saying? So you have a huge Christian community here in the United States of America, and Christians don't believe in these things. So if anything, I would consider that as persecution when Christians feel uncomfortable raising their children in a society where politics, it's only it has become a weapon of basically enslaving or imposing people's will. Because when Democrats once won re-election and they know there is a growing LGBTQ communities, right? And by them advocating and pushing for laws that protect LGBTQ communities, guess what? They get more votes from these communities. But they don't care about how it's destroying the society based on people's belief. And if you dare say something mean to someone from LGBTQ community, God help you. You can get canceled, and you can potentially lose your job. You can lose a lot by speaking your mind about this LGBT community. How many times Dave Chappelle, one of the most famous comedian here in America, he almost got canceled for making a joke about LGBTQ community, right? You think I'm lying? It's all over the internet. You can go and look it up. It's right there, right? All right, guys, just give me 1 second. I'm just gonna buzz myself in. I'll park up and we'll keep this conversation, because after this, there are 2 more points that are important that we need to address out here, all right? So I'm actually having fun speaking on these issues, and I'm really hoping to hear your feedback and what you think about this. Yeah, I'm pulling into the garage. A lot of people have problems, like they like this on their phone, almost get hit by a car. And that's the last thing I want. First thing in the morning when I pull into the garage, hitting a fellow coworker. All right, guys, do me a favor, hit the like button, and let me know where you're tuning in from, and I'll really appreciate it. And do me a favor, or drop a comment down below and tell me what you think. All right, your opinion matters just as much as this. Let me fix this microphone, and we get back to the subjects. All right. Okay, so the Democrats, they're the ones who pretty much are pushing for this agenda. And Republicans do not agree with them on these issues. And it is causing a huge political war between Democrats and Republicans. And guess what it's creating? It's creating division. So it is up to you. If you think your children should be raised in a society where they teach them that there are more than 2 genders, and that they can be born a man and still choose to be a woman, or they don't have to choose their gender from the earlier age. So you're confusing a lot of children, okay? Not everybody wants to live in a society that teach these things, okay? You go to Africa or other society, I'm not saying that homosexuality does not exist. They do exist, except they not signed into laws. Because at the end of the day, all of these communities that are emerging, they just human being like us. We all human being. Why should I have to watch my mouth and watch what I say around another person who just happened to like somebody of the same sex as them? So, but they can say anything they want to say to me because I'm straight. That's not fair, is it? Right? And these are one of the reasons why a lot of, especially Christian family, are leaving the West to go find different society that are more conservative, where they can raise their children and not having to worry about their children getting confused as they grow up, right? So those are the things to keep in mind, guys. And yeah, with that being said, this is going to lead us to number 4. Guys, this, as crazy as this may sound, but discrimination is a major issue here in America. When I'm talking about discrimination, it's not only against black people. Discrimination now even reaches other communities, including whites. And I'll explain myself how. Guys, income inequality has made it so it doesn't matter whether you are white or black. As long as you're poor, you're not allowed to live anywhere near like a rich neighborhood, a rich community. Because the way they see it, if you're poor and you're white around a bunch of rich other white people, chances are you will want to rob them. So they're looking at you like, no, you're poor. You can't live here. And there were laws, right, that were trying to, I think this was probably in California a couple of years ago. They were trying to like pass like an affordable home act, something along the lines where they wanted to, to start building like housing for poor people, like much more affordable housing near like these prime neighborhoods, near Los Angeles and Hollywoods and the places where these big, celebrities live. And Dave Chappelle actually was one of the guys who stepped in during this meeting and said that he threatened to actually pull his donations to the same political parties that were advocating for these things. And it was just happened to be somebody who spoke up. It was right in the middle of a meeting, that there were a lot of people behind the scene who were pulling the strings too, who didn't want to see that happen, right? And those poor communities included white people, Spanish, Hispanic, black, and everybody else. But they were like, no, you're so damn poor, you don't get to live anywhere near us, because these communities only belong to white people, because we all have money and we do not want something from one another that we don't already own. But you, as a matter of fact, you are poor. You don't drive the cars that I drive. You don't live in a beautiful home that I live in. Last thing I want, you waking up one morning or breaking into my house and come steal something or do something to me or my family. That's what this is all about. That part of discrimination include white people too. But let's go back to the real discrimination that's always marginalized black people. Black people are the number one victim of discrimination. Guys, even when it comes down to workplaces, the level of efforts that black people have to put in to prove themselves that they're competent is nowhere near an efforts that a white person will have to do to accomplish the same goal. Black people have to work 3, 4, 5, even 10 times harder to achieve the same outcome that will take one effort for a white person. And people see this. And there are a lot of talented black people who have done way more to bring a lot on the table for a company, but they still compensated less than what they're worth. And this is a repetitive patterns that people are getting sick of. And when they see these things and they start exploring other means, whether it is to move to another country to live a better life, they would take this opportunity. Guess why? Because the moment they realize or they figure out a way to own an online business or work from home and still be able to make money, or work from anywhere in the world as long as they have access to internet, they don't want to stay in America any longer, because nobody wants to stay at a place where you're doing more, you getting compensated less, and you're still less appreciated anyway. I don't want to be in that position. And I believe that a lot of African Americans or any black individuals out there wants that, right? So that's another one of the reasons that black people, African Americans, are moving to Africa, or South Asia, or places where they feel that they will be much appreciated coming from America. You understand what I'm saying? These are the issues that are impacting Western societies. That's why you'll see, like, a lot of things are falling apart. Even now, if you're watching news media, you will learn that there is so much more that are happening now that they don't want to tell you on television, but it is taking place, but they just don't want you to know about it. You will have to go out of your way, do your own research, and figuring things out on your own. What's up, Mark? I'm chilling. I'll be right in a minute. So that is what is going on. So when you're discriminated against, your mental health, it will not be the same as someone who, like, as it would if you were living in a society that appreciate who you are, no matter what color your skin may look like, and the level of anxiety, right? And you feel like you always have to stay on the top of your game the whole time. And it's just so mind-boggling. So many times that people go to work, they have jobs, they work so hard, but they see other people getting promoted. And they come up with ideas, they bring a lot on the table. They make more money for their employer. They come out with ideas that gain more clients for the company. The company started making way more money because of talented black people who are smart and working their butt off for the betterment of the company. But when a company reached that level of notoriety, and it comes time they want to promote somebody to a position of management, or an IR, let's say, like in a superior position, guess who they pick? They pick a white person, because they want white to dominate everything, regardless whether they deserve to be there or not. To them, they just see color. They're like, all right, we understand you're smarter than him, but we want him or her to be your boss. So it don't matter how smart you are, you're always going to be underneath their direction. That's pretty much what's happening in America, and this has been happening since the foundation of this country, and it is still happening today, guys. That's one of the reasons why also African Americans and other groups are moving to other society to explore other options, so they don't have to always stay here in America. There are people who like make six-figure salary, right? But they don't want to stay, they don't want to work for their company any longer. How does that make any sense, to walk away from a six-figure salary working for a company only to go take a huge pay cut for a peace of mind? That right there tells you money is not always everything. The way you are treated as a human being matter the most, matter more than the money that you were making. That's why when I watch videos about African Americans' experience in Africa and they talk about their journey, they understand what it is to be considered majority in a country. When you walk around people that look exactly just like you do, and they have the same thought processes you do, so it makes you appreciate more, you know, that you have. With all honesty, trust me, these countries were not meant for black people to be on the top or any other group but white people. Let's make that clear. Okay, I don't want to repeat myself any more than I've already did. This is going to bring us to the very last one, the fifth point, which is living standard. Okay, this is another controversy that I'm about to throw at you. Guys, let me tell you something. Let me say, bro, change of topic. You're coming from America. What's your take on black Americans treating African immigrant? Tariq Nasheed is pushing xenophobic between black Americans and Africans from the continent. I'm gonna have to look that name up, Tariq Nasheed. I'm gonna look him up and see what he has to say. But at this point, I'm just speaking out my mind and I'm giving my opinion regarding what I believe is happening, right? So number 5, it's living standards. Guys, if you've never been to America or to the West at all, and you moving here for the very first time straight from Africa, you would appreciate a lot of the things that you will see. You would appreciate the road, you would appreciate the infrastructures that you see around you. You would really appreciate it because we don't have this sort of infrastructures in Africa yet. And when you leave Africa, you come here, you come to this, you would appreciate it more. But someone who has been here, who knows what they look like 10, 20 years ago compared to what they're looking like now, they will tell you the infrastructures are crumbling. They're crumbling, they're collapsing. They not building new bridges. They not doing anything. They just straight up spending money on financing wars outside of their borders. Then they don't care about updating their infrastructures. That's why China and all of the other countries, they have much better infrastructures compared to America. And that's one thing that's causing jealousy for these societies too. That's one of them. Guys, I was in Canada. I was in Toronto about 2 weeks ago now. I took a road trip out there. And trust me, traffic, roads, potholes on the roads, it was outrageous. It was beyond my mind. I'm like, oh my God. Don't get me wrong, there's traffic here in Philadelphia when I'm coming into work or like during rush hours. Oh my God, forget it. But in Toronto, it was almost everywhere. I was in Ontario. It was ridiculous. Ridiculous. The amount of traffic that I had to go through. I'm talking about every single time I got in a car and I was driving somewhere, whether I was driving to a restaurant or I was driving somewhere to get something to eat or buy gas or whatever, I had to be stuck in traffic. And they don't care about fixing those, but they care about ethnic cleansing Palestinians because they don't think they 100% human being because they call them human animals, right? That's telling you. Actually, I should have mentioned this in, number 4, but yeah, you get it. You get the idea. So someone will tell you the infrastructure is crumbling here in the West because they're not maintaining roads the way they should. Dude, if you're driving in Philadelphia, trust me, you really have to be careful. I had my muffler busted before because of the potholes that I gotta go around. But of course, sometimes I'm driving back at night and I can't see them all. And I'll run through the potholes and it's just like, oh my God. Like, you will really have to be driving here so constantly to know where all the potholes are at. But like, there are new ones that are still, building up. So it's like not getting any better. And they're not fixing these infrastructures. I'm about to start making videos to show you why the roads are looking like in Philadelphia, so you guys can get an idea. In certain neighborhoods out here, it's rough. So the quality of life is really deteriorating here in America. Back in the day, if you were making $75,000 in America, you were considered like basically in the upper class. Probably not anymore. You're making $75,000 a year here in the US. Go ask like what an average price of a home costs here in America. It is beyond my mind. Home prices are skyrocketing, rents are skyrocketing, everything is so expensive because of the inflation. Nothing is getting better. People are overworked and underpaid, and they can't afford their lifestyle any longer. They can't. Some people with full-time jobs, they're homeless because they can't afford a rent. There were protests with this, immigration crisis that is happening here in the United States, where you have African Americans who are working here, they're paying taxes here, they are denied a place to stay to house these Africans, these immigrants, I'm sorry, and they paying these immigrants. I'll be honest with you, I'm not originally from here, but if that was happening in Congo where I'm from, trust me, as Congolese, I'll be pissed off. And we already witnessed a mass shooting of a white person with mental health issues in Maine. It was relating to this immigration crisis. People were killed because they seen this happening and the government is doing squat about it. Nobody is happy about that. The quality of life is not getting any cheaper. Like, you will have to be making at least $150,000 in America to live comfortably. To live comfortably. If you're just making $60,000 a year was a big deal 5-10 years ago. Now, it ain't nothing. You get that paycheck, you spend it before, like halfway through this next week, you already run out of money and you're waiting for your next check to kick in. All right. So guys, all of the points that I brought up, in my opinion, are in the center of many African Americans or Europeans' decision to move to other societies, to move overseas, to look for better options, because nobody wants to be treated that way any longer. Nobody wants to live in such society that are prioritizing other things over the same people that they supposedly work for, right? They get elected because they get votes from people, but those same people are treated like crap. But they realize, if I have $150,000 in my account, I go to Africa, I'll buy me a beautiful, luxurious home that I'll live in, especially if they have a job where they're working online and still making what they make here in the US, and their money go far. They will really want to stay in Africa or South Asia or wherever they feel comfortable staying, right? If you disagree with anything that I had to say, feel free to let me know in the comment section down below. Until the next one, peace out, because I wish I could continue, but it's time for me to go in, get dressed, go on duty. I'll see you in the next video. Happy Wednesday. Peace out.